It's a strange thing, isn't it? How you can know deep in your bones that someone doesn't deserve you, and still, somehow, you keep showing up for them, still answering the phone, still bending your plans, still giving pieces of yourself that you can't quite afford to lose. If that's where you are right now, I want you to hear me. You're not weak. You're not foolish. You're human. And sometimes the most human thing we do is hold on to something that's been empty for a long time, because the letting go feels too final to bear. I want you to picture this. A woman standing at the kitchen counter, washing the same dish 3 times because her mind is somewhere else entirely. She's thinking about him, about the way he's been pulling away, little by little, about the times he's promised change and delivered the same old silence, about the nights she's stayed awake, crafting the perfect message that will finally get through to him, only to delete it in the morning. She knows he doesn't deserve her. She knows it the way you know a fire is hot without touching it. But she also remembers the way he used to look at her, the way his hand used to find hers without thinking, the way his voice sounded when he said, "You're the best thing that's ever happened to me." And it's those memories, not the man standing in front of her now, but the man she met, the man she thought he was, that she's still fighting for. I've seen this story too many times to count. There's Sarah, who spent 3 years with a man who never once celebrated her wins. When she got the promotion she'd been working toward for years, he said, "Don't let it go to your head." She laughed it off, like she always did, but that night she lay in bed staring at the ceiling, wondering why she was still there. And the answer was simple, because leaving felt like erasing every moment they'd shared. Because part of her still believed that if she just loved him better, he would love her back the way she needed. And then there's Mia, whose boyfriend had a habit of disappearing for days without explanation. Every time he came back, he had an excuse. Work was crazy, his phone died, he needed space. She knew it was disrespect. She knew she deserved consistency, but the thought of cutting him off felt like cutting off a part of herself. Here's the thing most people don't talk about. Staying with someone who doesn't deserve you isn't always about them. Sometimes it's about you. About the part of you that doesn't yet believe you can do better. About the part of you that's afraid of the space they'll leave behind. There's a kind of quiet hope that lives in women who stay too long. It's the hope that maybe, just maybe, tomorrow will be different. That he'll wake up and see what's right in front of him. That he'll finally understand the weight of what you've given and the cost of what he's taken for granted. But here's the truth. A man who truly sees you doesn't need to be convinced. He doesn't need proof. He doesn't need you to fight for your place in his life. He'll make that place without being asked. If you're listening to this and feeling that knot in your chest, it's because part of you already knows. You know you've been carrying this relationship on your back. You know you've been pouring into someone who leaves you thirsty. You know the fight you're in isn't for a shared future. It's for scraps of the past. And maybe you've tried to leave before. Maybe you've promised yourself you were done, only to answer when he called. To believe him when he said, "This time will be different." To fold when he put his arms around you and whispered, "I don't want to lose you." But I'm going to tell you something he never will. He's not afraid of losing you. He's afraid of losing the version of you who will keep loving him without requiring him to grow. And the longer you keep fighting for him, the longer you delay the moment you start fighting for yourself. You tell yourself you're staying because you see the good in him, because you remember the man he was when you first met, the way he made you laugh without trying, the way he seemed to read your thoughts before you even spoke. You tell yourself that man is still in there somewhere, buried under stress, bad habits, or fear and maybe he is. But here's the part that hurts. If he wanted to, he would have found his way back to you by now. I think of Leela when I say this. Leela was a dreamer. She had plans for her life. Big, bright, unapologetic plans. But when she met Jack, her plans got quieter. Not because he asked her to give them up, but because she thought love meant compromise, and compromise meant giving more of herself than she asked for in return. At first, she didn't notice the trade. She told herself, I'm just being supportive. She let him choose the movies, the restaurants, the pace of their life. She put his needs first, telling herself that someday, when things were more stable, he'd do the same for her. But stability never came. And little by little, the Leela who dreamed out loud became the Leela who waited for permission to live. When we talked, she said, I know he doesn't treat me the way I deserve, but I also know I love him. Isn't that enough? Here's the truth no one wants to say out loud. Love is not enough when it costs you yourself. And yet you keep fighting, not because you're blind to his flaws. You see them clearly. But because letting go feels like admitting you chose wrong. It feels like wasting years you'll never get back. And maybe the most dangerous reason of all, because if you stop fighting for him, you'll have to face the question of why you've been fighting for someone who wouldn't do the same for you. There's a certain comfort in the fight, isn't there? The constant push and pull becomes its own rhythm. The hope that maybe tomorrow he'll be different is what keeps you from walking out the door today. And hope is powerful, but hope, when it's tied to the wrong person, can keep you chained in place for years. I think about Naomi and the night everything changed for her. She was standing in the rain, waiting for him to pick her up after work. He was over an hour late. When he finally arrived, he had an excuse ready. Traffic, bad day, you know how it is. She wanted to be angry, but instead she smiled, climbed in the car, and told herself it wasn't worth the fight. But later, lying in bed, she realized something. She wasn't avoiding the fight with him. She was avoiding the fight with herself. The one where she had to admit that she'd made her comfort in a place that didn't value her. That's the quiet truth about staying too long. It's not just about him. It's about the parts of you that believe you have to earn the love you give so freely. It's about thinking that if you just keep proving your worth, one day he'll wake up and finally match it. But men don't wake up because you've been patient. They wake up because they see you living in a way that no longer makes room for their carelessness. And until you stop fighting for him, he has no reason to start fighting for you. There comes a moment when you stop asking, why doesn't he love me the way I love him, and start asking, why am I still here? It's a shift so quiet you almost miss it. A small flicker of awareness that, once lit, never goes out. I've seen it happen to women who thought they could never walk away. At first, the love they felt was enough to swallow the pain. They carried both like twin weights, convincing themselves it was strength. But slowly, the balance changed. The pain grew heavier. The love grew quieter. And one day, they realized they were fighting for someone who wasn't even in the ring with them. I think of Elena. For years, she believed in the man she fell in love with, even as he drifted further into his own world. She fought for his dreams more than her own. She made excuses for his absence, both physical and emotional. And she told herself that was loyalty. The breaking point wasn't loud. It wasn't a fight. It was the night she came home after a long day, set down her keys, and felt the air between them. Heavy, cold, indifferent. He didn't look up from the television. He didn't ask how her day was. And she realized that if she disappeared in that moment, he might not even notice until he needed something from her. That's when the truth settled in. She was fighting for a place in someone's life who couldn't even make space for her in a single evening. Here's the part that's hard to face. Sometimes the fight itself becomes an identity. You pour so much time, energy, and hope into making it work that you don't know who you'd be without the struggle. But love is not supposed to feel like a battle you fight alone. And the day you understand that is the day you start reclaiming yourself. The man who deserves you will not need convincing. He will not leave you questioning your worth. He will meet you in the middle, not wait for you to drag him there. And the moment you stop fighting for the wrong one, you create the space for the right one to arrive. And maybe he'll realize too late what you were worth. Maybe he'll remember the way you made him feel and wonder why he let it slip away. But that's not your burden anymore. Your burden is only to yourself, to love her, to protect her, to never again let her fight battles she didn't start. Because one day you'll look back and see the truth clearly. He didn't deserve you. And the moment you stopped fighting for him was the moment you started fighting for your own life. The man who deserves you will never make you beg for your place in his life. He will never let your love go unanswered. He will never watch you carry the weight alone and call it partnership. If you are still fighting for him, ask yourself when he last fought for you. Ask yourself if the love you give is the love you receive. Ask yourself if you are holding on to him or to the idea of who you wish he was. The truth is, the man who deserves you will meet you where you stand, and the one who doesn't will keep letting you walk alone until you stop. So stop, because the moment you stop fighting for him is the moment you start fighting for yourself.